All you headbangers and future rock stars. Welcome to a place where detention gets a drum solo, where homework is replaced with power chords, and where the most unqualified teacher might just be the one who changes everything. Yes, today we're cranking it to 11 with School of Rock, the musical, where a band of pint-sized prodigies proves that rock and roll isn't just about the music, it's about the attitude. School of Rock is a rock musical with music by Andrew Lloyd Webber, lyrics by Glenn Slater, and a book by Julian Fellows. Now, based on the 2003 film of the same name, the musical follows Dewey Finn, an out-of-work rock singer and guitarist who pretends to be a substitute teacher at a prestigious prep school. After identifying the musical talent in his students, Dewey forms a band of fifth graders in an attempt to win the upcoming Battle of the Bands contest. Now, the 2003 School of Rock film produced on a budget of $35 million, earning over $131 million in global box office receipts. In an April 2013 interview, Andrew Lloyd Webber first revealed that he had purchased the stage rights to the film and planned to make its adaptation into a musical for his next project. The composer stated, "There may be songs for me in it, but it's obviously got songs in it as it stands." Now, speaking of his version of the musical, Lloyd Webber suggested that it would focus more on the stories of Dewey's young students than the film did, stating, "It has to be a bit more rounded. I'd quite like to know more about the children and their parents." Speaking about the music, he explained the need for additional music rather than simply using the film's film soundtrack. Now, you can't do heavy metal for hours and hours in the theater, because, well, everybody would be screaming. So, they have to be theatrical songs as well, and we're obviously got to use the iconic songs from the original show. It would be a shame not to do a Stevie Nicks song. Well, get ready to meet your School of Rock cast. But first, the adults. Dewey Finn, a man whose musical talents are, shall we say, enthusiastic rather than actual, finds himself in a bit of a pickle after his band No Vacancy finally realizes he's less rock god and more human-shaped amplifier feedback. Desperate and probably running low on ramen money, he pulls a fast one, impersonating his substitute teacher roommate Ned Schneebly to snag a gig at the prestigious Horace Green School. His teaching methods, well, they involve less algebra and more air guitar solos, which surprisingly turns out to be exactly what these button-up, musically brilliant kids needed. He then recruits his pint-sized prodigies to form the School of Rock, proving that sometimes the most unqualified person is exactly who you need to unlock hidden genius, or at least teach you how to headbang properly. Dewey, bless his heart, often comes across as less mature than his actual students, proving that a rock and roll heart never truly grows up, even when rent is due. Next up, Rosalie Mullins, the principal of Horace Green, runs her school with the iron fist of a drill sergeant, who secretly really wants to bust out some air guitar. She's so tightly wound you could probably tune a grand piano with her nerves, and it's all thanks to the pressure cooker that is elementary school administration. But beneath that perfectly coiffed bun and stern demeanor beats the heart of a true headbanger. Turns out our dear Rosalie harbors a deep, passionate love for rock and roll, longing to ditch the rulebook and trade her sensible shoes for some well-worn Chuck Taylors. She's basically a walking, talking musical theater trope, a repressed rock star just waiting for someone or something, like a substitute teacher who thinks academic excellence means shredding solos, to flip her inner volume knob to 11. Ah, the infamous Ned Schneebly, Dewey's long-suffering roommate, former bandmate, and a man so easily manipulated he probably has "Walk All Over Me" tattooed on his forehead. This poor soul is still nursing a secret rock and roll heart, but it's currently held hostage by his iron-fisted girlfriend Patty, who presumably keeps it in a jar labeled "No Fun Allowed." He's a perfectly respectable substitute teacher who, in a moment of weakness, or perhaps just while napping on the couch, allowed Dewey to steal his identity and unleash a chaotic rock revolution at Horace Green. Ned is living proof that even the most timid among us can be the most unwitting catalyst for pure, unadulterated musical mayhem. Ah, yes. No musical could ever be complete without Patty DeMarco. This is Schneebly's girlfriend who frankly makes a drill sergeant look like a fuzzy bunny. She's a walking, talking paradox, constantly berating Ned for being a doormat, while simultaneously steamrolling every decision he might think about making. Her personal mission in life, besides ruling Ned with an iron fist, is to rid the apartment, and ideally the entire planet, of Dewey Finn. Yes, she views Dewey as an invasive, slobby species who threatens the pristine ecosystem of her and Ned's perfectly controlled, utterly fun-free existence. Yeah, she's the kind of person who probably schedules joy and then cancels it if it runs 5 minutes late. Well, folks, auditions began in January of 2015 for children's ages 9 through 15. Some recruiting was done through the School of Rock after-school educational program, which actually predated the film by several years, and open calls that were held in New York City, at the Winter Garden, in Chicago, and in Los Angeles. In December 2015, the musical would have its official debut at Broadway's Winter Garden Theater, running for 1,309 performances. The cast starred Tony-winning actor and former Beetlejuice star himself, Mr. Alex Brightman, and former star of Broadway's The Little Mermaid, Sierra Bodges. Now, most reviews of School of Rock were positive. David Rooney for The Hollywood Reporter praised the young rockers. The show knows full well that its prime asset is the cast of ridiculously talented kids, ranging in age from 9 to 13. They supply a joyous blast of defiant analog vitality in a manufactured digital world. Now, Chris Jones of the Chicago Tribune noted, "What matters most, and what makes this show work, is that Brightman clearly has developed, and can show us he has developed, an emotional bond with his band." By November of 2016, the musical would transfer to London's Gillian Lynne Theatre, starring British-Irish actor, producer, and screenwriter David Finn, and British EastEnders soap actress Preya Kalidas. There were some minor changes made to the show, including the removal of the pre-show curtain, the use of a revolving stage, and action taking place in the aisles of the stalls. Now, while the show remains to be set in America, the script had been adapted to include some minor references for a British audience. In November 2018, the School of Rock would have its Australian premiere at Her Majesty's Theatre in Melbourne before embarking on a national tour in China. It would return to Australia, where it would play at the QPAC in Brisbane before transferring to Auckland, New Zealand, and then back in Australia at the Capitol Theatre before COVID-19 would shut the production down due to safety regulations and concerns. And folks, I did not forget, as a special tribute to the School of Rock, it wouldn't be a school without its students. First up, we meet manager of the band, Summer, a student so academically zealous she probably had a gold star-shaped tan line. She's the kind of high-achieving kid who views nonsense as a personal affront to her GPA. But then something clicked. She realized the School of Rock wasn't just a band. It was a fast track to extracurricular glory. Now she's willing to sacrifice everything, except maybe her perfect attendance record, to see them win the Battle of the Bands, primarily because she's convinced it'll be the shimmering golden cherry on top of her already intimidatingly perfect college application. Who knew rock and roll could be so strategic? Next up is Tamika on vocals. This new kid at Horace Green arrived via the prestigious waitlist. Instantly feeling out of her depth among the school's tiny Einsteins, she's so shy, even her shadow gets nervous talking to people. Convinced she's somehow less intelligent than her peers, who, let's be honest, probably diagram sentences in their sleep, Tamika spends most of her time just existing quietly. That is, until it's discovered she has a voice that could make angels weep and probably shatter a few windows. Suddenly, this wallflower transforms into the School of Rock's secret weapon, becoming the lead singer's lead singer, second only to Dewey, who probably still thinks pitch is something you throw. And just to add to another layer of fabulousness, Tamika's adopted by a gay male couple, proving that her life is far more rock and roll cool than any standardized test could ever measure. Which leads to the backup vocals of both Chanel and Marcy. The resident background blending experts of Horace Green were initially just two more faces in Dewey's chaotic classroom. But it turns out these quiet maestros of invisibility were actually holding back angelic vocal cords and some seriously slick dance moves. Dewey, never one to miss an opportunity, especially if it involved avoiding actual teaching, quickly declared that the School of Rock's powerhouse backup singers were probably telling their parents they had voices they could charm the socks off a stone gargoyle. Those two prove that sometimes the best rock stars are just waiting for a slightly unhinged substitute teacher to discover their hidden harmonies. Well, what's a band without its instruments? Meet the band's lead guitarist, Zach. This poor kid, whose dad presumably communicates exclusively via quarterly reports, is a walking, talking bundle of repressed musical genius. Initially, his guitar playing was about as stiff as his father's starched collars, clearly a symptom of having too much bottled up inside and not enough air guitar time. But then Dewey, in a moment of pure, unadulterated rock and roll clairvoyance, discovered that Zach wasn't just good, he was a pint-sized guitar virtuoso. This became abundantly clear when, after only a month of rock indoctrination, Zach casually whipped out Teacher's Pet, the band's anthem, which was so perfectly Shred-Tastic it made Dewey question if he'd accidentally stumbled into a parallel universe where kids composed stadium rock. Now, every band probably has a keyboardist. However, none more qualified than Lawrence, a boy whose confidence is as low as his gluten tolerance, which, let's be honest, is saying something. At the start, he was convinced he wasn't cool enough for the band, a self-assessment based entirely on the fact that his only friend was Tamika, whom he generously declared didn't count because she never spoke. Luckily, Dewey, with his unique band of motivational chaos, managed to convince Lawrence that he was, in fact, amazing, and probably ignored the gluten intolerance part entirely. Turns out this unconfident kid is a keyboard wizard, capable of improvising melodies so imaginative they probably have their own zip codes. Up next, School of Rock's badass bassist, Katie. A girl so serious she probably takes her lunch break with a stern expression, initially dedicated her quiet intensity to the cello. But when Dewey, with his uncanny ability to spot rock and roll potential even amidst the most stoic individuals, suggested she pick up the bass, she was like instantly awesome. Now, she's the School of Rock's stone-faced, four-stringed sentinel, taking her instrument and the band with the gravitas of a seasoned concert cellist. Now, no band, and trust me, no rock and roll band, is complete without its lead drummer. Meet Freddie, a boy whose primary contribution to music class seems to be demonstrating the decibel limits of percussion instruments by repeatedly slamming cymbals together like a tiny, enthusiastic wrecking ball. His intelligence, much like his drumming, is clearly different, as both his dad and Summer are constantly reminding him he's not. But Freddie and Dewey share a secret. They know his brain just operates on a more percussive frequency. While others are busy with, say, math, Freddie's probably calculating the optimal force required to make a drum roll really echo, proving that genius comes in many forms, especially the loud, rhythmic kind. So, we have the band. But what about the looks? What about the costumes? What about the stylist? Well, meet Billy, a boy whose true calling is clearly a career as a fashion critic for Rockstars. He's probably got more fashion magazines hidden under his bed than actual textbooks, despite being surrounded by bandmates who, in his expert opinion, dress like they lost a fight with a laundry basket. Billy remains steadfast in his impeccable stylistic vision. This flamboyant maestro of fabric and flair comes from a long line of football players, much to his father's dismay, because Billy's only interest in a huddle is making sure everyone's accessories coordinate. Now, he's living proof that some people are just born to rock a stage, not a field. Rock on, Billy, rock on. Now, in order to light these band members up and make this band's special effects noticeable across continents, we need a techie. Meet Mason. This pint-sized tech guru of Horace Green is so smart, he's probably coded codes in his sleep. This nerdy wonderkind is the School of Rock's resident lighting and special effects wizard, capable of transforming a school stage into a rock arena with just a flick of his laptop. He's also surprisingly forgiving, being the first to embrace Rosalie Mullins when she finally ditches her uptight act, giving her a hug and declaring, "You're the best, Miss Mullins," a statement that probably shocked everyone more than any pyrotechnics he's clearly got squirreled away. Honestly, you would think that Mason's a kid who can handle lighting rigs and possibly explosions wouldn't be so chill. But Mason, well, he just rolls with it. And so, the final chord rings out, leaving us with ringing ears and even fuller hearts. School of Rock reminds us that sometimes the best teachers are the ones who break all the rules, and that every kid has a unique rhythm that's just waiting to be discovered. Folks, School of Rock is a testament to the power of music to build confidence, forge friendships, and even unite families. More than just a tale of rebellion, it's a celebration of finding your own voice and letting it soar. Until our next theatrical exploration, keep shredding those air guitars, and remember,